We're talking about generosity in Avraham Avinu, and how he told the kings that I don't even want a shoelace. I don't want. That's what he told them. On page 64, Rabbeinu Avraham says, "Vida, you should know, ki mida atzila v'nisgava zo." This lofty character trait, midat hanedivut vehavatranut, generosity and vatranut is compromise or not caring so much about things. Melamedet al ha'emunah v'bitachon. It teaches us about emunah and bitachon, reliance and trust. U'miut hasimcha b'kinanei ha'olam hazeh, and a lack of care or joy regarding the acquisitions of this world. V'habitachon b'totzeot hadat v'avodat Hashem, and confidence in the benefits of knowledge and service of Hashem. Ki hanedivut b'mamon, because generosity with money, with v'chush, and with property, melamedet ad bitchono b'Hashem, it teaches you about your reliance on Hashem. Yitareh may be raised. Shishalem chelef mamono mi'ut chelef mamono, that he'll return back the money that you spend on other people. U'mi'ut simchato ba'olam hazeh v'kinena v'cholfim. And when a person doesn't care so much about their physical acquisitions in this world, because one's soul is looking for permanent possessions, not fleeting possessions. And when someone is stingy in these matters, it shows you the exact opposite. I'll explain. You have an iPhone. Yeah. You use it for good things. You send emails, text messages, pictures, you, write good things to the world, you're in touch with people, you do mitzvot, you have a siddur, tilim, whatever you do with your phone. A person can have an iPhone, but say, I'm not willing to stand in line for 2 days and sleep outside of the Apple store the night before the new one is released, because I don't care that much. You have to judge yourself. How much do you really care? You have to make sure that you're not swept away by the things in this world. Who is serving who? Who is the master and who is the slave? Is the phone, does it own you? Do your acquisitions own you? A person likes to watch a movie. Do they stay up the whole night watching movies? Or can they say, okay, I watched, I'm happy, I relaxed, I did it for Yishuv Hadat, I wanted to have a little bit of calm in my life, whatever people watch movies for. Now I'm ready to go back into the world.
There's a book called Small is Beautiful, and the author, Schumacher, said that the difference between a tool and a machine is that when you use something as a tool, it means it's an extension of your abilities that allows you to fulfill what you need to do. A machine is something that controls you and you become under its power.
Very nice. Very nice. So the same is true here with money. A person who has money but can never part with it. This person is saying the money owns me. I'm so crazy over something that what's so special about money? Yeah, it pays my bills. I know, I understand. Trust me, I know what it's like to need money. But to need it to the point where it makes you sick, it makes you worry, it keeps you a person, how much can you hold on to this world? So you have a lot of money, good for you, big deal. It's not everything. A person who believes in the Kadosh Baruch Hu says, I'm not afraid that if I give tzedakah tonight, that I will never have money, because I believe Hashem will give me more tomorrow. Hashem will help you have more tomorrow. A person has to have emunah. A person who doesn't is stingy. They're showing about their relationship with Hashem. That's why Avraham Avinu was so generous, because Avraham Avinu was so close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'hanedivut b'koach ha'ashpa'ah. Generosity of influence. What is generosity of influence? What do we say? Using your influence for good. You might not be able to help somebody, but you know somebody who helps somebody, and you'll get your friend to help. That's also chesed. That's also tzedakah that you're doing. You got a friend who wouldn't help otherwise if it wasn't for your referral. It shows that you believe that Hashem will keep this protection for you, keep this connection for you. We're afraid of using up our connections, because what happens when we actually need them for ourselves, and then we've called that person too many times. If you believe a little more in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem will make it happen in a way that you can help this person, and that person will also be there for you. You won't lose your influence just because you used it.
That's the other side of the equation, though. It's like there are a lot of people, myself included, who would really like to help and to give and to be a good influence. But if you're in need and it's very hard for sometimes the same people to accept other people's help.
Very good. Okay, that's also true.
It's a big problem for people who are giving.
Giving.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's hard to accept. You should know being able to accept is also a midah. It's also a character trait. There's some people that always want to do and do and do, and they don't realize that by doing, you really never give another person a chance to do chesed for you. And even if you don't need their chesed, even if it's good for you to help someone else give to you. You see it sometimes in relationships, that people, one side's always giving, and the other side takes, but also wants to give back and never can. And because of that, that side feels forever indebted. It's not a healthy side of the
They
religion.
become resentful.
Very resentful about that. And the truth is, the person has to be able not just to give, but also to learn how to take. And that's a good point you just brought up. ושלא תתמעט ולא ייחלש מלעזור למי שצריך לו ונהנה ממנו. So if I help too many people, then I'm not going to have any koach left. I'm not going to have any energy left. Believe a little bit more in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that if you help people, you're still not going to lose all your kochot. והקמצנות בזה מורה על ההיפוך, and stinginess in helping people with your influence shows the opposite. Perhaps this is one of the greatest ways to be generous. This week is Parashat Pinchas. Pinchas, we read about a zealot. We read last week. A zealot goes, fights for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and Hashem blesses him with Briti Shalom, the covenant of peace. I'll talk more about it on Shabbat. But so many people want to be Pinchas. Very few people want to be Aharon. Very few people want to be Hillel. Everyone wants to be Pinchas. Everybody wants to be the one who's going to throw the spear and kill people.
Really?
There's a lot of people who their midah is zealotry. They're crazy zealots. And I'll probably say, you don't want to be a zealot? I'll tell you how you should be a zealot. Go to the world and teach Torah. Be a zealot. Teach Torah. Be there for people. Show them that rabbis are nice people. Show them that religious Jews are there for other people. That's the way to be a zealot. Just how many people became religious because you burn garbage cans in the street and you write it about Shabbat and how this parking lot is open on Shabbat, the movie theater is open on Shabbat.
That would be a negative number.
Yeah, it's exactly. To be a zealot, you're allowed to be but the best way to share your knowledge with people. Knowledge turns people's hearts on. It turns their neshamot on. It makes them work. It makes them suddenly come to life. V'nidivut b'chokhmah, generosity with knowledge, with wisdom, melamedet shebatuach beto'elet ha'idiyah. It shows that you're confident in the benefit of knowledge. People don't share their wisdom sometimes, and they think it's not important. Who cares about it? ושלא יחסיר ממנה בגלל לימודה, אלא אדרבה יוסיף עליה. People, I don't want to share my secrets, I know a lot, I want to keep it to myself. This understanding of wisdom is such a childish understanding of wisdom. If you share your wisdom with the world, Rabbi Kiva Eger, there's a story about him, that he once became very depressed about his writings in Talmud and Halakha. He decided he wanted to burn all of his manuscripts. And he, Motzei Shabbat, he turned on his fireplace and he took all his manuscripts. He was about to throw them in when someone knocked on the door. He opened the door, and as the story goes, it's once I'm an angel from above, and I was sent to tell you that you do not own your manuscripts. But the moment you have put Torah thoughts down on paper, they belong the collective property of the Jewish people. And you throwing them into the furnace, you are stealing things from the Jewish people.
Wow.
If Hashem gave you the wisdom to write it down, you have to be able to give it to the world.
Beautiful.
And you have to think, it's a very important task. If you have a wisdom, something that you can bring to the world, it's no longer yours to hoard it, to keep it onto it. You must share it with the world. Especially if you believe that it has value to the world. And especially if you believe that it can improve the world. K'mo shneimar, like it says in the Talmud, Harbe chokhmah lamati mechaverai. I learned a lot of wisdom. Yater mirabotai. What happened here to the commas? Yeah. I learned a lot from my friends. Yater mirabotai, more from my rabbis. Umitalmidai yater mikulam. And here. Okay. See, maybe this piece is not the way I remember. I don't know if this is exactly as it's quoted in our Gemara. Harbe chokhmah lamati, I learned a lot of wisdom. Mechaverai yoter mirabotai. I learned more wisdom from my friends than I did from my rabbis. Umitalmidai yoter mikulam. And from my students, I learned the most. There's even wisdom that you gain from teaching it to people. The way you see it accepted or not accepted. is really it's a sign for you to increase your wisdom, to improve your wisdom. You'll learn more by teaching it to other people than by
There's
keeping
no
it to
wisdom
yourself.
without feedback from someone else.
Very good.
That's why the whole idea of a chavruta.
Very good.
Because you sharpen each other's wisdom and intellect by you get another insight, another way of looking at it. And also, there's like a visceral, almost emotional aspect to it as well.
Sure. And this is very important. This is crucial to learning. In fact, there's a prayer that we're supposed to say before we learn Torah. I have it in my books here.
Was that the ones in the newer series of the Art Scroll?
Yes, in the Talmud, in the inside cover, I think they have it, right?
I remember
Yeah.
those, yeah.
So it says it's a whole tefillah to learn. I shouldn't make mistakes in halakha. My friends shouldn't find me being mistaken. When you learn and you teach, you put yourself out there, almost to this peer review, to your student review, to
Right.
is the Torah that I'm teaching being accepted? You know, once
Also, do you own the Torah that you're teaching?
Very
In a
good.
sense? Because some people, as you've pointed out many times, they'll give a sermon or say the parasha of the week, but they're not really with it. They haven't really delved deep into it.
it's
They're
not
just
theirs. They
mouthing-
didn't connect to it. Very good. You know, I once heard, and I don't remember who it was.
There's too many.
I once heard from an old Sephardic rabbi his approach as to why the extremist circles didn't come out of the Sephardic community. And he said it didn't have to do with Europe versus Sephardic countries. He said in the Sephardic world, there was no position of Rosh Yeshiva. A person was always a community rabbi. He may have had a yeshiva also, but he was the rabbi of the community, he was the mohel, he was the shochet, he sat in the bedin. And therefore, he could never make rulings that only fit for yeshiva people. He didn't have that, I'm going to use a sarcastically, a luxury to have superpowered Jews and people who listened to every word that he said. There were people in his community who said, listen, Rabbi, I love what you're saying, but I'm an ignorant, I don't have time for this. It's too difficult for me. And the rabbi would say, okay, so this halakha, I can't teach it. It's not correct. People will not follow it. He said in Europe, you had rabbis who, they didn't live in the reality of the people on the street. They lived only in the yeshivot. And therefore they taught a Torah that was relevant to, of course, the guys in your yeshiva, he wants to do everything like you, he'll follow every stringency of the way you teach him. But that person never really got feedback from the Jewish street. Did the street accept my Torah? Did the street understand the messages that I'm trying to teach? Here we're saying that the act of teaching Torah, it sifts through it like flour. It sifts through your teachings and it actually will improve your wisdom. But if a person doesn't have faith in his wisdom, then he'll lose out on that important element. ומראה עד מה מועט הנזק שעלולה החוכמה להינזק. Sometimes people feel that if I take a break from learning Torah, that I won't grow. How could you learn Torah if you're always teaching it to other people? They think that it's a waste of time almost. It's a waste of time to be a teacher. Better to be a scholar. There's a sentiment not just in the Torah world, but Rabbi Yonatan dealing with the Torah world. When I wanted to become a rabbi, I had a few rabbis, ironically, who tried to convince me not to be rabbis. It's a waste of my time. I could spend my time doing better things than teaching other people. And it's such an absurd notion. You learn more in the field, so to speak, than you do with all the theoretical Torah that you study inside of the walls of yeshiva. והחוכמה הנכונה והמצוינת היא שתמריץ את בעלי הלמדה לאחרים. The true wisdom is one that motivates its owner, its master, to teach it to other people. That's true wisdom. You have an idea, you just can't keep it inside of your chest. You must share it with the world.
It's like having a bag full of seeds for a garden. I never planted
I never
them.
planted them.
Like when you put the seeds out, they grow into something new, and the wisdom spreads and new applications of it. And
Absolutely.
practical ones. We're supposed
Absolutely.
to build a world on Torah. We're supposed to build buildings and cities. And
This was the only way we got things out of Halav Peretz. There are things he never wanted to share with us. But if we would push him up against the wall and say, Rabbi, how could you steal this Torah from us? You'd see he'd get very guilty and then, okay, I'll share it with you. But it was the one weak point we always push him on. Like, you can't keep it to yourself. How can I? And then he'd always share because this is the truth. V'amar the Chacham said, who's the Chacham? Who's the wise man?
Sage, the wise.
Who's the wisest of all? Shlomo Melech, King Solomon, is the wisest of all men. And he says, חוכמות בחוץ תרונה, ברחובות תיתן קולה, בראש הומיות תקרא בפתחי שערים בעיר, המראה התומר, עד מתי פתאים תאהבו פתי. Wisdom cries aloud in the streets. She raises her voice in the squares. At the head of the loud marketplace she calls. At the entrance of the city gates she says her words. How long, simpletons, will you love foolishness? Wisdom cannot believe that people will run after. You know, when you walk into somebody's house, I don't judge. When you walk into somebody's house and you see they have a TV on their wall that's bigger than the wall, a surround sound system, these laziest couches you could ever see in your life, you sit in them and you sink down into the lowest levels of the world, and they don't have one book on their bookcase. I forget Torah books. I'm not talking about cookbooks. I don't have novels, have history books, something that interests you. People who don't read, they're running their whole life after every craziness of the world. And you say, how much you watch TV, you watch your movies, what really did you walk away with? How empty are you that you don't know one book from a cover to a cover? Sorry, that's true. I'm judging based on the Torah life that I was taught. But we're called the people with a book for a reason. And you can really tell, forgive me for saying such a thing, the quality of people who are literate and well read. And you can see this even in the non-Jewish world. You have people who come off as very educated people, very refined people. Education was very important to them. And education doesn't mean a college degree, it means a pursuit of wisdom. It means a person who says there is wisdom in the world. And wisdom itself calls out to the world. And how long are you going to run after sports games and run after movie stars and run after singers? And when are you going to... You even see this in song, in the world of song, that there are people who compose songs that are very deep, that are very emotional, that are very wise. And then some people, it's trash. It's recycled garbage. They sing to different tunes and different beats. And you can tell about a composer who's really connected to their wisdom, to their intellect, and who's connected to nothingness and emptiness. It's the world, you can tell these things. And the wisdom itself is wondering what happened to the world. V'amar od, and King Shlomo said, Halo chokhmatika u'tvuna titen kola. Wisdom will call out and tvuna. Knowledge, how do you translate tvuna? Understanding will raise your voice. Berosh merumim, in the highest of highs. Elechem yishim ekai, call out to you. V'kolil bnei adam, and my voice is to the human beings. Havinu p'ta'im arma u'chsilim, havinu lev. Simpletons understand shrewdness, and fools understand with your heart. V'kamtsanut mu'ad hipochosh davar. When you see somebody who's stingy with wisdom, it tells you the exact opposite about everything we said until today. Notice how Rabbi Abraham tries not to speak negatively. When we spoke here in the Beth Knesset a while ago about rabbis who are always negative and speaking always negatively and hating on people, the style of our rabbis was never to do that. It was to speak positively, speak about how great it is to keep Shabbat, how great it is to observe Shabbat, how great it is, and then say, and you know, whoever doesn't keep Shabbat is losing out on all of this. You don't have to spend a whole hour telling people how bad it is not to keep Shabbat. What value is there on dwelling on something negative? Rabbeinu Avraham ben Arambam is telling you the style is speak positively, and then at the end add in a sentence saying, and those who are not like this, you can learn from, speak through hints. The last, v'hanedivut badat, generosity with religion. Hilimshoch eleha et habriot, it's to attract people to it. Ulehanhigam eleha, ulelamda lehem, to guide people through it and teach Judaism to people. Umora al malat v'chosan avodato v'otzem shukato eleh, and it reflects the level and strength of one's own connection to Judaism. If you are not convinced that Judaism is important, you won't try to convince other people that it's important. If you are convinced of something, you'll spend a lot of time trying to pass it off to the rest of the world. You know, sometimes you'll find the Chabad has a good character trait. They go to the corners and they put tefillin on people and they get people out Shabbat candles, and it's a very good thing. You get out to the world. You'll find sometimes a person who's struggling with putting on tefillin, send them out with a few Chabad guys to put tefillin on people. And you'll see they'll have to go through the struggle of, if I don't care about putting on tefillin, why would I try to convince somebody else to put on tefillin? And they'll have two choices. Either they'll go back home, or they'll say, you know what, it really is special. Look how many people get inspired by putting on tefillin. And that in itself makes you more connected to tefillin. Sometimes the test is, how are you able to if you're not able to market Judaism to somebody else, you must not really be so in love with it. And that's okay, but at least it's time to know there's more to learn. V'amar David, and King David says, "V'chu vanim shimudi." Go, my sons, listen to me. Yirat Adonai alamedchem. We say this in the morning in Shachri. I will teach you to revere Hashem. V'kamtzenut badat mora lipochosh hadavar. And someone who's stingy with religion reflects the opposite, meaning that they're not so connected to their religion. Rabbeinu Bachaya ibn Pikudei, who wrote the book Chovot HaLevavot, he writes in the chapter of loving Hashem. He says, there are prophets who reach the highest levels of prophecy. They were almost like angels on this earth, he says. He says, but they do not even stand up to the ankles of a simple Jew who spends his life trying to get other people to be connected to their Judaism. He said, because whereas this prophet reached the highest levels of prophecy, he only did it for one person. But when you influence somebody else, and they in turn influence their children, or their wives, or their friends, and every ripple effect that goes out into the world goes back to you. The mitzvot come back to you. You have put into this world something into motion that will never stop.
Isn't that true of a true Navi, that they really become, in a sense, selfless? They go beyond their identity and who they are to open up a voice that is essential for people to hear.
Yes. So I would say that Rabbeinu Bachai is not diminishing from the greatness of a prophet, but rather telling you how important it is to teach to other people, to reach out to other people. It's very important. And sometimes you're the only person in that capacity. You're the only one who can reach that person. This person doesn't know a rabbi. This person doesn't know a Bet Knesset. This person doesn't know a Rosh Yeshiva. You are their only connection to the truth. How could you be quiet if you're the only connection? There's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders. And you could do so much good by just speaking a little bit, by not being afraid. What's going to happen? ואתה and you, שקוד איפה ללכת בדרך נעלה זו שאיננה מן הקלות. Focus on this path. Says Rabbeinu Avraham, because this path is not easy. And don't be fooled. This is not an easy path to be generous. Not just with finances, but with wisdom, with knowledge, with religion, with influence. Ohev tzedakah u'mishpat, chesed Adonai mala haaretz. Hashem loves charity and justice, and the kindness of Hashem fills the earth. You have a chance to be one of those people who bring out chesed and mishpat, charity and justice, kindness into the world. If you just talk, if you just open your mouth, if you just make a difference in the world. That's our chance, that's our choice, to bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu to all the different places in the world.